Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Odie Pixar. I'm here with Draskell. Welcome back to the ASUS ROG Meme League, Dream League, and we're ready to go into Game 2 of this only series of the day between Burden United and Flipside Tactics. And we're well into the draft, so should you, so let's switch it. Go. Yeah.
Your hands aren't that magical yet.
No, they're not. They need a little bit of work on that one. What are we seeing, Draskell?
So looks like Flipside are taking the advice of Bogdan, picking a bit more teamfight control. They got their Spirit Breaker, they got Avenge, they got a Bat Rider, and they got a Zeus. So I'm thinking their damage output is going to be fairly strong. Okay. And then you have Spirit Breaker who can start the engagements for you. It's great against heroes like Shadow Fiend and Dazzle. We saw the weakness of a lineup that doesn't have disables versus a Spirit Breaker in game number 1. This lineup from Bird United is also lacking in disables, but the one difference so far is Juggernaut as a core isn't really too scared of SB because most of his damage is magical. Okay. Even though you can be disabled, you're not really getting hurt at the same time. And they've picked a Zeus, a Bat, and Avenge into that. And Juggernaut is very strong against heroes who rely on either disabling you or dealing magic damage to bring you down. So I feel like that is a solid pick. Burden really favoring their Dazzle as well. I think it's one of those heroes that helps you go high ground so much just by throwing out a weave. Like you weave the enemy team, and then for the next 15 seconds, you just feel really hesitant about trying to fight because you have so much minus armor, and then you have Shadow Fiend on top of that with the presence of the Dark Lord. So nice counter pick to the Bat Rider and the Spirit Breaker by taking out the Clockwork here. Most likely going to be Sakshka playing on that. But I still think that Flipside have a much better draft than they did in the previous game.
Yes. So that is something that's looking on the up for them. And yeah, the Clockwork, we were talking about it before the games, one of the stronger heroes for Paris. Very good with Clock on the offlane. We've seen a lot of big plays coming from it. And so these final picks now, Burden United, interestingly enough, they didn't go for the PL earlier on in the draft, even though it wasn't banned out until only just recently by Flipside.
They could be thinking that against some lineups like PL, it's actually great against Bat because you can take off Sticky Napalm at any point just by using Doppelganger, and you can just keep charging in. So maybe they just didn't feel like running it. Sometimes even if you have a really good hero that you go to, maybe Burden are just feeling confident in the plan that they've had coming into the second matchup. And I don't think their team composition is suffering too much for it. They have really good teamfight utility. They have 2 really solid cores. They're going to have Weave for the late game.
10 seconds remaining.
And right now, Flipside still have to pick up their number 1 role, because I think it's probably going to be your Ace Bat Rider, and then you're going to have Baby Knight on Zeus mid. You're going to have an offlane Spirit Breaker, and then you're going to have a Avenge +1. So, or wait, they have Bat. So they could put Bat in the jungle or offlane, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I guess they've
unless they're running.
versatility.
They could also run Zeus support and pick their mid and just have Spirit Breaker safe lane farm. That's also a possibility, but we'll see.
That is true. That is true. We'll see what they go for here with the final pick. Final pick for Burden United after this. What do you think they could pick up that's going to work nicely? Obviously, with the Dazzle and the Shadow Fiend, there's a lot of negative armor there. I'm kind of feeling something like a Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor would be amazing. And you could also pick another hero like Disruptor, who matches up great against Bat and Spirit Breaker, because you can glimpse them both. And then you have Static Storm as well, which is very potent. Because if the Spirit Breaker's charging in and you don't have Glimpse, you can just Static where he's going to go into. And now it owns Slark too, so Disruptor could be really strong here for Burden United.
Indeed. So the Slark, the final pick, do you think that is what Flipside needed to finish off that lineup?
It's great because until the last pick, if they do decide to take like an AA or a Disruptor, which I think it will probably be one of the two, they don't have many methods of dealing with Slark. So there's like nothing on the team. You can't really get Omnate if you have Shadow Dance up. Clockwork, you don't really want to hook a Slark because he can just Shadow Dance again and maybe kill you. It's a bit tricky to fight around. But no, they're going to go NS. All right. Support Night Stalker. Here we go.
All right. Well, we saw
Wasn't expecting that.
How much they like to be in the face of you in the first game. They're going to be able to. I mean, Night Stalker, it's kind of on the same level as what a Spirit Breaker offers.
To a degree, but Spirit Breaker is still better at forcing the engagement because he has higher than haste turn speed when he's charging. So you can just start the fight straight up. You get a guaranteed disable, where Night Stalker is kind of that hero where he's beefy, but you want to be in and out of the fights. You want to go in, throw out a void, silence somebody, hit a few times, run away if you're getting low, and then come back in and try to secure kills by just spamming it out. So I'm a bit surprised they actually went with an NS. I really felt like Disruptor AA, if they win, we'll ask him during the winner's interview. It's fine. And if it goes to a game 3, we'll see what happens after that.
Indeed, we'll see how it all matches up. So in terms of lanes, pretty obvious from Burden United. The side of Flipside as well, so it'll be the safe lane Slark. Zeus in the mid lane. So Zeus up against the Shadow Fiend. Zeus should be very annoying.
Both heroes farm.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. If he comes to the lane with a stick, he'll get free stick charges on the Shadow Fiend, which means he's going to be able to raise out, and he just buys one straight up, so he knows exactly what's going to be coming his way.
Prepare for battle.
Okay, so we'll see how the matchup ends up panning out as we get ourselves into Game 2 here of this only series today between Burden United and the Flipside Tactics in this semi-final here at DreamLeague. So on the side of Burden United on the dive, we're going to have Minuts on that support, Night Stalker, Sing Sing on the position 1 Juggernaut. Come With Me will also be in that tri-lane on the Dazzle. It'll be Necroman in the mid lane on the SF, and on his own down there, Paris on the Clockwork. I'm ODPixel and I'm here with Draskell. And Draskell, what are we seeing from the Radiant side?
A Unicorn making his triumphant return to the team, going to be playing on that Slark. We got the Vengeful Spirit. It's going to be handled by Rise behind him. We got the Bland support Spirit Breaker. Then towards the middle lane, we got Ace on the Batrider and Baby Knight, who's going to be playing the Zeus. And by the way, Ace plays Batrider a lot.
Okay.
I think it's one of his most played heroes.
And we'll see if he's able to come up with the plays indeed. So I guess at the moment, just clearing up the trees here so he can get the double stack off on these two stacks. So by the looks of it, as he's doing this, is he just going to stay here and totally sack the off lane completely?
Well, it still makes it easier if a support is nearby to have those trees dead, just because it's easier stacking. So if he still wants to go to the off lane, realizes he can't farm, then he'll probably go back to the woods after either Blan or Rise have stacked a handful of times for him.
Okay. And so talking about Blan on this Spirit Breaker, obviously being played in a different position to what we saw Burden United do it in the first game. Where do you think the Spirit Breaker's kind of the best position is to run him?
I think in a lot of games, you don't really want to put him as a pure core, but I like offlane, and I think support Spirit Breaker can work, but the biggest issue is he becomes underleveled if you get behind, and then you don't have your ulti, which is a really big deal. So we're going to see a charge here just for harassment purposes onto middle lane. Doesn't really do much, and Bland even takes more damage than he deals, so that wasn't the best plan, but I do feel this particular Spirit Breaker, his options are pretty limited. He has to wait for a while until Baby Knight gets some levels before he can really start doing anything with his charge.
Top lane Ace getting harassed by the Dazzle. Pretty nasty lane for him to be in. And so on this bottom lane, the Slark against this Clockwork, I guess Slark has got the backup of the Venge support, but at the time being, she is just focusing on stacking the camps for the Batrider. So leaving the Slark on his own, and Blan... Blan?
What?
What's he doing?
Did his mouse break?
Like, what?
That was a that had to have been like mass misclick.
Did he just not see it? Or?
He had boots. Like, that should have been a dead courier. That was really awkward. I don't even... I'm going to just give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he misclicked or freaked out or something. Like, he didn't see the courier. Maybe he was looking somewhere else on the map. I don't know why he would be looking somewhere else on the map when he's behind a tier 1 tower of the enemy team. But let's just say that that was the case.
Okay.
Necroman sitting there like, man, that was close.
Oh boy, so Burden United, they're going to be happy with that. In terms of the laning, looking at the mid lane, we're seeing fairly even farm, as you were predicting from both of the mid laners. Ace, he's finding levels in this off lane, but at the same time, he's not being able to do a huge amount to harass the farm from Sing Sing on the Jug. Slark against the Clockwork, I've got to be honest, 7 CS 2 minutes in, he's doing better than I thought he would against the Clock, but I guess Slark, one of those melee cores that can deal with the Clockwork.
You don't really want to trade with him, that's the issue. And since your battery assault is only level 1 for a long time, well, Sakshika's gotten 2 points into it early. You can't sit in the cogs and expect to kill a Slark if you just walk into him. You need him to pounce you, because that way he can't get out. Otherwise, he just pounces out and you've kind of wasted all your mana, so...
Zeus in the mid lane. Minuts, he is ready to pounce with this Invis rune with a few raises. Minuts, is he level 2? I assume he's got the Void and the Crippling Fear. Yeah, oh, he's only level 1, but the Void is all that's going to be needed. With the raises coming through, maybe he could turn around, maybe not. Necroman getting low with the stick charges, and there wasn't the mana for anything else to come out from the Zeus. There'll be a charge on Necroman. Does Blan want to dive this? No, he doesn't. He realizes he could be in a bit of trouble if Minuts turns around with the Void. But all in all, fortunate rune pickup there from the Night Stalker and making the ganks happen.
The Invis rune was huge. That kill doesn't happen without a haste or an Invis. All right, bottom lane, that was close.
Yeah,
Sakshika still living life on the edge down here. He has boots and enough mana to cog. And he knows Unicorn's out of mana, so that's why he's still here. Obviously, he can't go for the kill. But that death in middle lane, giving the Shadow Fiend first blood, I didn't think that Night Stalker should never have ganked. Like, how is he supposed to do anything?
At
like
level 1.
Yeah, at level 1 with just a Void, but he made it happen with the Invis, so a little bit of RNG going the way of Burden United here.
Indeed, and as soon as Nightstalker returns to the top lane, Batrider, he's got level 3, so he'll head to the jungle now, look to clear up the stacks. He's got a couple of nice ones here. There's not, well, there's not any rock golems at all, so RNG on the side of the Radiant in that situation.
Nice for the Batrider, just in case he wants to do his recovery stacking, which it feels like it's going to be right about now. But all things considered, the laning phase still isn't even going as bad as it was in the previous game. Necroman getting charged here.
Yeah, Baby Knight pulling up, trying to find the mana to get those lightning bolts down on him. Ends up having to turn and run as the TP reaction does come in from the Dazzle. Going to keep Necroman topped up. He's going to be able to find himself a double damage rune at the top as well. So still, I mean, in terms of the laning stage, is this kind of what you expected to see, or did you feel that one side should be stronger?
I felt that Flipside should have had a slight advantage in the sense that their ganking support is a bit easier to use than a Nightstalker. I mean, let's be honest, a level 2 or level 1 Nightstalker isn't that threatening. So getting that gank in the first place is way more than I ever had expected. And again, it was just because of the invis. But the big, the go-tos right now for Flipside are Ace on his Batrider, just trying to make sure that he can get his blink timing up. And it should still be relatively quick. I mean, you get a huge jungle stack here. He's already going to be up to roughly like 1,600 gold after all this stuff dies. And once he gets blink, then it's on, because you're talking about a lasso into a Spirit Breaker charge, into Zeus ulti, and that's enough to kill pretty much anybody.
And looking at the 2 position 1 cores, Sing Sing and Slark ultimately pretty much free farming, 30 CS on Sing, 26 on Slark. I mean, who's going to be more scared of who? Who is the biggest threat kind of going into the mid game?
The way that Juggernaut builds, he usually has the potential to out right-click a Slark for a very long time, but Slark is more of the evasive style of fighter who doesn't really want to take straight-up right-click wars. He just uses his ultimate, his Dark Pact, and his Pounce to deal a majority of the damage and maybe go for some support kills or try to just farm up as much as he can. I don't even know if you want to go a Blink in this game. Like, I would not want to Blink into what Burden United have, so maybe he goes for a more farming-oriented build.
Coming up to 800 gold on top of the boots and the gloves of haste. Do you think he's going to go for the Midas here? And do you think that's the best decision?
Slark Midas, you mean?
Yeah, Slark Midas, yeah.
He could, but I still feel like Treads Aquila is the most stable starting build. If you have to go to the jungle for whatever reason, you need Aquila to make sure that you can have your Dark Pact mana up at all times. We're going to see a charge here.
And Midas fairly tanky on the Spirit Breaker. Sorry, on the Nightstalker, but it's not enough. The zap coming from the Zeus, and that's a nice bit of gold there going towards Mine Nuts, sorry, Baby Knight on the Zeus, bringing it to 1-1 in this game. Again, 6 minutes in, fairly passive, both teams farming up fairly well. Necroman's going to waltz into the jungle, finds Ace with the hook shot from Paris. That is a nice kill to have on Ace. Stockpiled a lot of gold, and he must have lost a few hundred from that.
That would have been almost his blink had he not lost gold for dying and had he claimed the stack that he was trying to get there. No vision at all in the woods on the side of Flipside. They're just completely blind. They only have 1 ward on the high ground near the top runes. So when you're playing with a Batrider, the enemy team knows you're stacking. There's not even a question in your mind that that could happen. And once they got their clockwork up to level 6,
Zeus could be in trouble in mine. He heads forward. Necroman rotating him with the invis and come with me, but they're not going to decide to chase this one down now. But 7 minutes in, clock with the Earnest Shadows. He's had a pretty good time, fairly even time in lane, at least with the Slark, trading blows and trading CS. In terms of net worth now, 4k on this Shadow Fiend, 3.2k on Sing Sing on the Juggernaut, who's continuing to farm to his heart's content. 2-1. I mean, at least it seems to be a stronger start for Flipside than it was in the first game.
Definitely. They have 3 people who are at least getting some semblance of farm. Zeus ulti here, gonna kill Come With Me. So Baby Knight getting a kill on the board for his team. He's actually all of his team's kills right now. I say all, it's only 2. It's quite early on. The Shadow Fiend has a ton more farm than the Zeus, but the Zeus damage output is what's really important here, is once Ace again, he needs that blink. If they don't get that Blink Dagger up in the next couple of minutes, they're going to start getting caught out by more Clockwork hooks. If they get farther behind, recovery is still possible with this style of team, but it's still pretty difficult. And we are going to see the Midas coming out from Unicorn, so he is going for more of the late gamey style.
He's just making another stack here for himself. 2k gold. This will give him the Blink Dagger. And it doesn't look like anyone on the side of Burden United is going to run into the bat before he's able to pick that up. So we're going to see Ace still with relatively good timing on the blink. You know, 8.5 minutes in, it's going to be around. And with that, he's going to be able to jump in. Who do you think he's going to look at trying to find the kills on now at this point of the game?
Shadow Fiend is the easiest target. It's very easy to telegraph where he's going to be, most Shadow Fiend players do what Necroman is doing right now, which is go to the middle, double raise, go to the jungle, and then farm. So he is probably the easiest hero to predict movement from of everyone on the side of Burden. You don't want to go for Clockwork because he's very tough to kill. You don't want to go for Juggernaut because he can spin. So the easiest target, in my opinion, would be just smoke and look for Necroman.
Okay, so let's see what he does. He's got the blink, and he is ready to go, this Batrider. Clockwork was hanging around the Roshan pit, trying to see if he could catch anyone going for the 8-minute rune, but he was unsuccessful in the end. Zeus going to pop out the Thunder God's Wrath just to get a little bit of intel on the enemy side, see where Burden United are at in terms of progression. And indeed, it is this Necroman Shadow Fiend at the top of the board at the moment, and Jug Sing Sing just very closely behind. He's got the Phase Boots and the Morbid Mask, very close to the Mask of Madness. And with that, we'll be able to farm up very, very quickly without any problems at all. I mean, the Spirit Breaker, Blan, hasn't been that impactful this game so far. I mean, is that an issue?
He needs level 6, and I'm not even sure about the skill build that he's done. The charge duration stun goes up by 0.4 seconds a rank, and you get more charge speed as well. And that's okay, but your damage output is lowered drastically by not maxing bash. Like, you lose 18% bash damage, and that's pretty much where all of your damage comes from. And we're going to see that smoke that I was talking about from Flipside. But they're not going to find a Shadow Fiend, they're going to find a Night Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, it's kill's a kill, but it's not maybe the biggest kill. Maybe with the Shallow Grave, they can turn it around a little bit. Magic Missile onto Dazzled with the Weave, healing up My Nuts. They do find the kill on to, oh, hang on, there's going to be another kill. They find the kill onto the Night Stalker, but now Paris with the hook shot looking to turn it around onto Baby Knight. They'll find a kill. Shadow Fiend picking that one up on a killing spree now. Meanwhile, Sing Sing pressuring the top lane. So even though they get a kill with the reveal at the Batrider blink, it's not the best kind of a scenario of events that they would have hoped for.
That was unfortunate, as top lane Sing is just, he doesn't even care. He's got spin. He's like, yeah, whatever, just run at me. It doesn't matter. You don't have your Nether Strike on the Spirit Breaker and you're at half mana, so I am A-okay. But that's what I was mentioning. It's very easy to try to look for the Shadow Fiend because you know his farming route very well if you've ever played against the hero. NSF is very common nowadays. It was just unfortunate that they ran into the support Night Stalker instead of finding Necroman. Would have been a much more valuable kill. Okay, he's turning. He wants to go on this.
He goes in with the punches. The last raise just going to be a little bit short onto the Vengeful Spirit, and he's getting charged. Blan's going to commit. Has he got the mana for the Nether Strike as well? No, he hasn't. Just about 6-7 mana points short, which is unfortunate. Maybe with the Nether Strike he could have given it a go, but at the same time, with only the 1 point in bash, it might not have been enough.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more common to max charge because you're playing support than it is to max bash. I'm not sure about the support position Spirit Breaker because I haven't played it too much myself, so I'm not entirely sure if that's like the build that you're supposed to do, but it just feels a little bit weird because Spirit Breaker's solo kill potential on some heroes, even in this game, is very high if you have the max bash, just because of how much damage you really do when you get your Nether Strike. But either way, still 3-3. The farm rate though is still going the way of Burden. They have their Juggernaut free farming, they have the Shadow Fiend free farming. The Zeus is still roughly half the overall CS of Necroman. And when they start getting BKBs, Flipside's lineup falls off pretty heavily until that Slark comes online, which is still going to be quite a while.
Top lane, we see 3 heroes on the side of Burden United, ready to try and come in with this push and finish off this tower. At the same time, My Nuts and Paris, they find Rise around the secret shop, and Rise will go down. Oh, they look for a hook shot to go for more, but it is going to be off the mark. Ace blinking forward, getting caught out by the Battery Assault here. There will be a charge onto My Nuts, and he will get the suit up to the high ground. Nether Strike as well. They will be able to bring down the Night Stalker yet again, but they lose the top tower, and they do lose the Vengeful Spirit in the trade.
In the end, still better for Burden. Not by a huge margin. The offlane tower is meh. It's okay to kill just for the money. But the bigger thing here is once these towers are dead, it kind of opens up a little bit more of the map for Burden to roam around with their other heroes. So if they want to have the Night Stalker and the Dazzle do some aggro warding, which they've already done a little bit of, it's a lot easier to accomplish. And he is not going to go in. Okay, good. I was going to say, you better cancel that. That is not the charge.
Really isn't. The tier 2 falling fairly quickly. They're going to back up. They don't want to stand their ground and get it quite yet. Wait for the next creep wave. And they go for round 2. Sing Sing still with that Omni Slash available. Hasn't had the opening to use it quite yet. Hookshot's going to be back off cooldown in 6 seconds as well. Just a little bit low on the mana. But with that in mind, they're going to back up, and it's going to be very hard for Flipside to try and chase anyone down off the back of that retreat. Unicorn continuing to farm on this bottom lane, keeping in tandem with the Jug. 6.3 on the Slark, 6.6 on the Jug at this point. And he's got the Shadow Amulet now on top of the Midas and Tread. So looking to go straight for that Shadow Blade. And in this position, do you think that's the item that Slark needs?
It's a bit weird. I typically like going Shadow Blade when I have at least tier 1s down, because then I have a lot more space to work with the item. But if you're just trying to dive into tier 1s with a Shadow Blade, it's not gonna find you a whole lot of openings. I think it's just that item that he doesn't want to go Blink because he knows he won't use the Blink to fight. Like, how are you gonna fight into Burden right now without like a BKB, for example? That's probably the item he's waiting for to say, okay, I can commit to an engagement. But it still lets you farm a bit faster because Shadow Blade gives damage and attack speed. So that could be his reasoning behind picking it up. I just feel once tier 1s go down, that's when Shadow Blade becomes a lot better.
Okay, and well, tier 1's going down. Bottom lane, the Shadow Fiend knocking on the door of the tier 1 on the safe lane for the side of Flipside, and also Flipside here on the mid lane. The team themselves getting the tier 1 in the middle, or at least trying to. They will be fended off as Burden United come in, smoked up Paris, and come with me. Hookshot available. Sing Sing still with that Omni Slash. Rise in the Dire jungle at the moment. Has got the Radiant Ward out. There's no Dire Vision in the jungle, so they won't be aware that Benji is making that movement. They're heading towards Roche, and it looks like Burden United, they're going to give it a shot. Sing Sing and Necroman head into the pit, and well, with the crits and with even just the 1 point in presence of the Dark Lord, this is going to be Roche going down very quickly 15 minutes into the game with the Mask of Madness and with the Yasha on Jug. It's going to be fine. In the Dire jungle though, My Nuts, he seems to like eating these Lassus because that's the third one he's eaten to the face. Hookshot in from Paris onto Baby Knight, and Baby Knight will be able to get himself out of the cogs. Charge from Blam will connect onto Paris. Thunder goes Wrath, bringing the Clockwork low. Shallow Grave should buy him the space and time to get out, especially with Necroman coming in with the mechanism. But of course, Roche did also go down in that last bit of action. And will go the way of Necroman, the Aegis there. So 5-4, they lose the Night Stalker, but they get Roshan 15 minutes in.
It's looking a bit scary right now for Flipside, just because the Shadow Blade purchase from Unicorn, if Burden continue playing aggressive and just start 5-manning, the Shadow Blade purchase won't really do anything unless for some reason they decide that they want to back on Burden and just try to defend a tower alone. That's when the Shadow Blade can start doing work, and oh god, the Courier.
The Courier Snipe, man.
Nothing on it though,
yeah.
So it's fine.
It's all good. Minut's getting charged on the top lane. The Bat Rider is hanging around, looking for this Night Stalker. He really has got something against this NS, and they will find the kill. Ace getting fairly low. Paris does come in, but does not have the hookshot available for 6 seconds. Might be able to chase that one down. At the same time, though, space created for Burden United. Night Stalker kind of acting as the sacrificial lamb this game, because it seems that every time he goes down, Burden United, they're elsewhere finding the objectives.
He is the artificial space creator, I guess, for Burden here. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I didn't really know what the Night Stalker pick was supposed to do, but it still ended up getting a kill on mid, so I can't even say it was that bad. I just feel like it's something that maybe they just wanted to pull out and try. Still feel like Disruptor or AA would have been a lot easier to use, especially with Clock. You have AA and Clock together, it's like boom, free ultis for days, you know? It's a very simple combination to follow up with, and it's great against Slark because you can't regen. So either way, Minot's getting the brunt of things, but it's fine. They got the tier 2 in the safe lane. There's only one tier 2 left at 17 minutes for Flipside. That is not a situation you want to be in.
They smoke up, but this aggressive Dire Ward scouts it all out. The side of Burden United are going to be very, very well aware of this rotation, and maybe they can look to kind of bait it, encourage it, and turn around the fight. Necroman, he's just heading straight towards where they're anticipating Flipside to be. That's it. Is he doing it intentionally? We'll see if he's able to take the fight. Ace. Smoke will get revealed, but he is now round. Now he's going to try and turn around. He goes on Necroman, but Necroman does have backup on his way. He is getting dragged down to the lower ground. There is a Dazzle nearby. Where is the Shallow Grave? It doesn't matter because Zeus was the one there, and he just got blown up by an Omni Slash. Now they go on to Rise, who throws a Magic Missile onto the Shadow Fiend, but it doesn't matter. He will go down. 2 heroes down on the side of Flipside. And the smoke scouted out by that ward, baited by Necroman, and turned around by Burden United.
Just a lot of little things going wrong this game for Flipside. Their Slark itemization isn't really working out because right now Burden are kind of on their 5-man. So they picked Juggernaut, they got Shadow Fiend, they got Dazzle, and their Dire side. So it means that if the tier 1s drop, Roshan is so easy to get. for their composition. You have Clockwork, who's great fighting around the pit. Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend are the same. We're going to see potentially a kill here on top lane. Sakshka going to get picked off, which is great for Flipside. But they still don't have any momentum. They don't have any map control. All the lanes are being pushed in. They're completely getting dominated all over the map. So trying to come back from this is pretty difficult. You can hope for your high ground defense, hope that your Zeus and your Slark scale very well into the late game, and then hope that your Bat finds that sick lasso, because otherwise I think they're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, talking about momentum, in terms of taking down towers, what have they got? I guess they've got the Venge Aura to give them a damage boost, but other than that, they're not the best team for pushing at a fast rate.
Their team is pretty terrible at going high ground, actually, Flipside. They have 2 melee cores, or 1 melee core, and then a hero who's supposed to transition into a core in the Spirit Breaker. And then they're playing against Clock, who's great against melee, Shadow Fiend and Juggernaut, who, in my opinion, are better in terms of breaking the base because of healing ward and obviously Shadow Fiend being ranged. So not a massive outdraft like in game number 1. I just feel like the play style that Flipside have adopted in game 2 isn't lending itself to what Burden are doing, which very soon is just going to turn into nothing but 5-man Dota, try to end the game. Or they could just sit in Flipside's jungle forever and just choke them out with a massive golden experience lead.
See Burn United grouping up here, just around the Ancients, clearing them out. Roshan still not going to be up for a fair bit because the Aegis is still under the belt of Shadow Fiend, Necromant. Unicorn coming in with this Shadow Blade, maybe seeing if he can jump on anyone. He's found Minuts. Does he want to try and go for this one? It would be a very risky play. Shadow Blade's actually going to wear out, but Unicorn with that boosted movement speed under the cover of his ultimate will be able to get away. 20 minutes into the game, 7-6 favoring the side of Flipside. But if we look at the overall team's net worth and XP lead, we do see it favoring the side of Burden. Over 3k in terms of gold, coming up to 5k in terms of XP. And for a match with the scoreboard's looking fairly even, that's quite a difference to have.
Well, it just goes to show that Dota is not a game just about getting kills.
Yeah.
The play style of Burden just matches up well against what Flipside are trying to do. They can find picks with their Batrider and their Slark, but Burden aren't giving them the opportunity. It's a very simple mindset. We're playing against Blink Initiator hero, a global ulti, and a Slark with a Shadow Blade. Just don't split up. That's all you have to do. And because almost all the outer tier towers are already dead, that means that instead of having to farm lanes passively, Burden can just assume control of the enemy jungle, take farm off their side of the map, and force Flipside to go and try to push into tier 1s and maybe put themselves out of position and try to go for some kind of counter initiation. But movement across the map here from Burden, they're going to be walking back towards their tier 1, but I don't think they're going to find anything here. It's just going to be a little bit of space created, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one. The smoke was scouted out by the Radiant Observer, which was literally just about to time out. So Flipside are going to be fortunate in that situation, and they do all back out of the top lane push when they are aware that Burden United were coming in with a rotation. Slark now on top of the Shadow Blade. He's got an ultimate orb. He's coming up to 1,800 gold as well on top of that. I mean, what's the plan for the Slark? Is he just going to go straight for the Scardian and look to fight, or is he kind of playing for the late game? Is he going to rely on the rest of his team to kind of just prolong the game so he can find those big item pickups?
Playing for the late game is not a terrible idea. Against Shadow Fiend and Juggernaut, you could probably just end up going like hyper carry if you get enough hits off in a fight, and you get those crazy Essence Shift stacks where you get like 30 and you have like 90 plus agility or something like that. It could happen. Not saying that it can't. It's just very difficult for Flipside to take a real engagement. So his only option is to farm, but it works out okay for him because he bought a Midas. The Midas pick earlier seemed like maybe Burden could get too much off the map for the Midas to really pay off. But until you really go high ground, the Midas is still always going to be a good investment. And as it stands right now, it's about 22.5 minutes in. And that means that the Midas is still doing some pretty good work here.
Yeah, and he's really keeping himself in the game. Yeah, 11.3k gold in the bank. He's only 1,000 behind the Shadow Fiend. And that is with the huge tower advantage that the side of Burden have had. They're only left to take the last two on middle lane and, well, bottom lane. Sing Sing is getting caught out by the Lasso. The whole team is here. And Sing Sing on his own, getting blown up. And that's a very, very nice and healthy pickup there for the Slark, getting that XP and gold.
Those are big kills every time you end up giving away a core like that. It's more time you can't push onto the enemy side of the map. It allows Unicorn to get more farm, lets Bland perhaps finish up his Shadow Blade, which I believe he has enough money for right now, and he is still not maxing Bash. That is really weird build. Normally, at the very least, you see 4-1-4 and any deviation, regardless of whether or not you max charge or bash before the other. But this is something completely new. I have not seen that before. So.
Okay. Oh, the jury's still out on whether it's going to pay off in the long run. 8-6. Flipside still looking very healthy in terms of the Slark, but he is going to have to deal with these two very farmed cores on the side of Birdie United. And talking about very farmed Necroman with the 2 Ultimate Orbs coming out, he's only 50 gold away from being able to pick up the Point Booster and the Orb of Venom as well. So he will now have the Skadi complete. There we go. On top of the Yasha, the Aquila, and the Mech. So this is a very tanky Shadow Fiend, and one that hits very hard as well. Top lane, Paris forcing himself in, trying to chase down the bat with the old battery assault, gets the cogs off. Ace will not be able to Firefly out. This one will go down. They might try and turn it around. Nether Strike onto Clockwork will certainly be able to do it, and they're looking for Miners in the jungle. He's trying to duke it out. He has got the money to buy another component of his Aghanim Scepter, but he isn't able to get it off before he dies, so does lose a few hundred gold coins after that. But two again, very nice pickoffs there for the side of Flipside, taking down the Clock and the Night Stalker.
Another good exchange, like you mentioned. Unicorn still continuing to get farm. He finished up his own Skadi. He's got another 700 gold in his inventory, and now he's feeling confident now that there are 2 people dead on Burden, and they can just continue to farm. I mean, you have to be a little bit worried about late game Slark. That hero can be devastating if he's left to his own devices in a team fight. And the problem that Burden are going to run into is they don't have a lot of disables for him. So if he gets a good initiation, kills a core, he can run away, come back at full health, and if you're not already TP'd out, then he just cleans up the rest of your team by chasing them down. And we could expect to see BKB, Abyssal Blade. I think he probably goes a Basher and then maybe into BKB instead of finishing up a straight Abyssal Blade. But if he's allowed to get that item progression, there is a real possibility the Flipside could end up carrying this on the back of the Slark.
Yeah, I think you really touched on it there, the fact that the Slark is just going to be able to run around these team fights, get those Essence Shift stacks up. And I don't know, unless they can get the jump on him. But with the Shadow Blade, that's obviously going to prove to be quite difficult indeed. So suddenly in a game where Burn United, they had the momentum. These fights are going to become very, very hard for them. And are Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend the answer to the Slark at this point? Or
if they can isolate him without his ulti, there is definitely kill potential there. It's like no question. But I think what Burden want to do is just go for the Roche here. And Flipside know about it, so could be seeing a potential engagement coming out. And this will have gigantic implications for either team. If Burden United get it, they can control the map for a while, push tier 2s. But if Flipside win this, I think it's an even game.
Here we go, they're smoking up, they're ready to jump into the pit. Can Ace pull off the plays here? Heads up to the high ground wave, the Terror's going to scout it out. Thunder goes wrap up, straight off the record of the souls. Ace will get blown up. Knife charge coming through, catching Sing Sing and Necroman. Still though, they do get the Roshan. Aegis will be picked up by Shadow Fiend. 3 heroes already down on the side of Flipside. They might be losing more. Baby Knight trying to run away. Sing Sing and Nightstalker are going to chase this one down into Zeus. There we go, triple kill for the Sing Sing. And now it's just Unicorn left alive. And I don't think it matters if they can't kill the Slark when they've killed the rest of their team.
That was their chance right there. Flipside had a huge opportunity to go for either a Roshan steal or just a really nice fight where they could make something happen. But Ace blinked in and immediately died.
Yeah,
like he couldn't even pull his lasso target up to the high ground. I believe he was going for Necroman to try to put him on the ledge so he couldn't pick up the Aegis. But either way, the reaction from Flipside was a tiny bit slow. And in the end, the fight went disastrously bad, and somebody like panic warded in the river as well. So that's definitely not great, but no buybacks being expended. They might be able to chase them out, but here we go. We might be able to watch it again here in a second. I mean, they're going to be pushing into the base while we see this replay happening, but the Spirit Breaker goes in and the bat is instantly dead. Bit of an early grave there, actually, from Come With Me, but the Clockwork initiation isolating the rest of Flipside, and as we can see here, the base is being sieged. Unicorn gets...
Ooh, that is a big way to start the fight for Burden United, taking down the Slark, getting the Bat Rider as well. Aegis will be popped on the Shadow Fiend. Baby Knight trying to force them back with the Arc Lightning. Come With Me with the defensive Shadow, defensive ultimates, right? And now Baby Knight taking the punches from Shadow Fiend. Sing Sing throwing out the creep wave, ready to go onto the racks. Oh, Bland, he wants to find something, and with the Thunder God's Wrath, he certainly will. Brings down the Clockwork. Minuts will get Shallow Graved up. Unicorn has to back off as the Skadi slows start to come into effect. And it's a 1-for-1, 2-for-1 trade as Nightstalker tries to TP out. Wave of Terror picking up the kill 28 minutes in.
What an ability, Wave of Terror. Unicorn bought back for this though, so they need to try to find more than just that one kill. They might be able to catch out Come With Me here. He might have Graves
chased
soon.
out. Sing Sing gets swapped back as well. Blan and
did they get both?
chasing down Sing Sing. This could be big, but the Omni Slash, the bounces are there. The Shadow Blade was actually popped by the Spirit Breaker, who says, well, I'm not tanking this, Venge, you're going down. And Sing Sing will get out and gets a kill on the way. But still, Birdie United losing a fair bit after that push.
Could have been worse for Flipside. Even having to expend buyback to keep your racks alive, it's a worthy investment. They get a lot of kills in the process. They get the Aegis off the Shadow Fiend. They would have killed Sing had his Omni not come off cooldown while they were chasing him out there. But Unicorn still needs, I think, another item or two to really become that force to be reckoned with. And we saw how he can be bursted in a team fight. Like when he walked up middle lane to try to go in, he just melted. So I feel BKB is still going to be on the menu for him at some point. And Burden probably still feeling relatively confident after the Roshan fight.
Oh, hookshot onto Ace on the Batrider, gets cold back as well. Necroman with the punches with the Skadi. There's no Firefly available, so this is going to be Batrider going down to Necroman. And also notable pickups there. Minus, he has now got the Aghanim Scepter and the Gem. So, well, pretty much this is it now, because Slark, he's not going to be able to close that gap with the Shadow Blade.
Yeah, that's painful. Aghanim's Gem Night Stalker at night is the reverse stream if you're a Slark player. It's very similar to playing against the pre-changed Bloodseeker, where if you were just below 50% health, you could never regen as Slark. It was crazy annoying playing that matchup, and this is going to be kind of the same. So if he's anywhere near you, you're not going to get any regen, you're not going to get your bonus movement speed, and having that vision means that they can do stuff like this, which is just brute force down the lane.
Buyback is forced out from the Batrider. Necroman's starting to pound away at the rats. Paris popping down a cog so that the Batrider can't get that blink initiation straight away after the buyback. Looks like the side of Burn United, they're going to hang back, wait for the next creep wave to come through, and then they're going to give it a shot at trying to break the high ground. Baby Knight is there and waiting, has got the Thunder God's Wrath available, but at this point, 30 minutes in, is it going to be enough? It's not even maxed out yet, still only at level 15, this Zeus. Well, Burden United with the Healing Ward, they're going to be in a very, very strong position to just hold their ground and continue to pressurize the side of Flipside right into their base.
Flipside just going to be looking for that good lasso. Ideally, you want to find Shadow Fiend or you want to find Jug. Jug is probably the better of the lasso targets. He's harder to deal with, I feel, than the Shadow Fiend, because the Slark can just... Oh, here we go.
Shot in onto Ace. Ace did buy back, and he will maybe get blown up very quickly. Yeah, the Poison Touch and the Crippling Fear means that the Batrider has nowhere to go. Omni Slash coming through will get the crit onto Blan. That is 2 heroes down on the side of Flipside. Now onto the rack. Magic Missile will go onto Necroman, but there's just no follow-up whatsoever. Baby Knight and Unicorn, they're kind of hesitating, deciding who's going to go in for the initiation. Unicorn heads forward. They've lost the melee racks, and Birdie United, they're going to be content with that for the time being. Smoking up. Are they going to re-engage with the smoke? It could certainly work out. There was no Radiant Vision of that point of the smoke. Unicorn heading into the jungle, and there we go. Straight back in onto Rise with the Crippling Fear. Sing Sing coming in, looking for the crits. So actually, Rise gets 4 staff back by Baby Knight on the Zeus, so they will be able to save the Venge. But now, with the second push, with the Healing Ward, they're going to be back up to full health. Burden United in the jungle. Unicorn is scouted out by Minuts. Of course, with this Aghanim Gem, what are you going to do? Crippling Fear down onto the Slark, chasing down. There's the hook shot from Paris. Brought back in, Void onto his face. He will get taken down before he even gets the chance to get anything off. Didn't have the Shadow Dance on cooldown, off cooldown, sorry. Anyway, another big kill there. Slark down for 80 seconds. Without any buyback after, I believe that was essentially a dieback. I know, okay, brought back 3 minutes ago, but it's still on cooldown.
Yeah, it was a while. Oh God, Baby Knight, please.
Zeus gets swapped back by Rise. He's going to have a little bit more time to contemplate what he just did there. He will cost the life of the Vengeful Spirit. Now they head to the bottom set of racks. The tier 3 still standing, but not for very long, as Necroman, Minuts, Sing Sing, and Come With Me join forces to bring it down. 3 heroes left on the side of Flipside. What are they going to do? The armor still ticking down from the Dazzle's ultimate. Baby Knight on the front lines with the Arc Lightning, trying to harass them back. It's just not enough with his Healing Ward, topping them up straight away. Thunder God's Wrath comes out. Now they go on to the melee racks here. There's going to be the Night Stalker Minuts trying to create space, throwing out the Voids, throwing out the Crippling Fears. It's going to be enough to keep Flipside away. That is the melee racks of the bottom lane down. Here go the ranged racks as well. 32.5 minutes into the game, 19-14. Birding United with an advantage in terms of structures massively. Baby Knight getting called out by the hook shot. The Cog sending back, and the Rocket Flare will finish off the Zeus. And well, with 2 of your cores down to 18 seconds till the Slark is back up, Birding United will back up themselves. They get 2 sets of racks. And they might even look for Roche, which will be back up in a minute or so. But still, flip side, what do they do, Draskell, now?
Unicorn needs to have a BKB. That's really the biggest issue. You saw how badly that Night Stalker silence crushed him. If he doesn't have Dark packed up and it's night, it's 8 seconds of not being able to do anything. And Gem plus Aghanims up on the NS as well. So not only can you not use your Shadow Blade to gain the bonus mobility to run away by getting your passive, but you can't even dispel anything. So you just walk around and you do nothing. I was talking about earlier how like Disruptor and AA are great against Slark, but turns out an 8-second silence is not bad either.
Absolutely, yeah. That seems to be all the control that they need at this point. There's going to be double damage. Unicorn will grab it, but he just isn't able to find any action with the Shadow Blade against this Night Stalker Aghanim's Gem. He heads into the jungle. Sing Sing is there. Where's the NS? NS is in the neighborhood, coming down south now. We'll be able to catch out the, well, he knows Slark's after, and there was a charge onto Sing Sing, Lasso, onto Paris on this Clockwork, but he's fairly tanky with this Aghanims. Tries to hook shot out, but they will be able to catch him with the Nether Strike. Omni Slash coming through, brings down the Bat, and now onto the Rise on the Venge with the Bashes. Will be able to bring down the Vengeful Spirit as well. Meanwhile, at the back of the fight, Slark goes down to the remainder of the side of Birdie United.
That may be GG right there.
It's not looking good. Good game indeed is called, Draskell. 34 minutes in. Today, Birdie United, they take the series, and it just all but looks a little too easy for them.
Burden just had a solid game plan. They see the lineup right now of Flipside, and they say, okay, well, you got a Zeus, you got a Spirit Breaker support. I feel that was maybe the most underwhelming part of the game was the Spirit Breaker support. He wasn't really able to charge and set up any kills in any lanes. If you look at what they had, the only other hero that can help him set up kills is Venge, and Venge was in the same lane as a Spirit Breaker. So you're not charging across the map to get a kill, you're charging across the map to a lane where you don't have any more disables and you don't even have the potential to get anyone. So you kind of just sat around, soaked some EXP. I still think the maxing his haste aura build or whatever, that build, empowering haste, I think it's called, right?
Wouldn't advise it.
Maybe. But it just seemed weird because your lineup can do so much damage between having Zeus and a maxed out Bash SB. You know, you go and you charge, you get one Bash, you ulti, you Zeus ult, that hero's dead. Like that's what I felt like they were gonna play around, but his build is just a disable build because he maxed charge, so it's just 2.4 second stun, maybe you get a Bash, but level 1 Bash is only 1 second of a disable anyway. It still scales in how long you don't get to use your character. So all around it was a little bit weird. There were some glimpses of hope, but as soon as that Roshan fight happened, it was like, that's it. There's no coming back from that. It was just a total disaster.
Yeah, indeed. So Flipside not having the greatest of times here today. Birdie United taking the series 2-0. And the first game outdrafted, second game, the draft was there, but they were outplayed at the end of the day by Burden.
Maybe just lane differently with the SB. I don't know. I mean,
in a different position.
Even off lane SB would have gotten more from the game because Bat can always jungle. There's no reason to have to put a hero who can off lane super easily in the safe lane with another support when the clock wasn't really, he was doing okay, but he wasn't like pressuring super hard. So you don't need the extra hero around. Just feels like maybe the lanes could have been better.
Okay, so some top advice there for you Flipside boys from Mr. Andy Styles. So we'll hopefully see you in the future tournaments perhaps, but for now that is going to mean it's the end of the road for Flipside. Birdie United will go on now to the finals, which we are going to be having tomorrow, and they will be up against the winners of basically Unknown and EE's Disciples, which is also on tomorrow. So we'll look forward to some very exciting games then, but for now, that is it from myself and Draskell, and we're going to be heading you straight over to our panel for some expert analysis on the games that we have just seen.